Hi friends, and welcome back to Life Kids Online for Lesson 3. I bet you didn't expect to see me in this room today, did you? I thought it might be fun to change things up a bit and do our lesson in the pre-K kindergarten room. You know, that reminds me, a lot of things are very unexpected right now. Things seem to be changing every day, from the way we're doing school to where we're allowed to go or not allowed to go. And it's hard to know what to expect from day to day. If I would have asked you 2 months ago what today might look like or where you'd be having your kids' ministry lesson, you probably would not have guessed that you'd be sitting at your home. You would have expected to be here at LifeSpring in one of your classrooms. Today, in our true story from the Bible, we're going to learn about some people who had some expectations of Jesus and some things that they had hoped and wanted him to do. But they're going to learn that Jesus didn't do things the way they expected him to do. And that's a lesson for us, that Jesus doesn't always work the way we want or expect him to either. And oftentimes, Jesus' power is unexpected. Before we get any further in our lesson today, I want to take a moment and talk about last week's God sightings. Where have you seen Jesus working in your life and in the world around you? My God sighting for this week is just hearing from different people and families that they've been watching these lessons and they've been doing the activities that I'm doing right now. That has been so exciting for me. Because even though we can't be together face to face and in person, it's nice knowing that we can still kind of be together and do our lessons. And that's really encouraging to me because it's nice to know that we're not alone and we are together in this. And that Jesus, it's a great reminder, is always with us and we're never alone. So take a moment and pause the video and talk about this week's God sightings. Thank you for sharing those God sightings with each other. You know, in good times and in bad times, Jesus is always working. And most times, he's working in ways that we would never expect. You know, sometimes those surprises are exciting and fun, like when he leads us to make a new friend. But other times, he's working in ways that we don't understand. And things don't always go the way that we hoped or wanted. Let's talk about that for a moment. What are some things that during this time of the coronavirus that you've hoped that he would have done already, or that maybe you'll hope that he'll do soon? For me, I hoped that he would have put an end to all of this by now, and that we'd be able to be back in school and doing all of the fun things that we would normally get to do this time of year. Spring sports and the spring musical and a spring concert, all of those fun things. What are some things that you expected would have happened by now, but didn't or haven't happened yet? Talk about your expectations with each other. Thanks for sharing with each other. There are a lot of things that we probably have hoped or expected Jesus to have done about the coronavirus, but he hasn't done yet. Jesus is powerful, but most often, Jesus' power is unexpected. And we're going to find out more about that in our Bible story today, about some people who expected Jesus to do things one way when he did it completely different. But before we get into our lesson, we're going to need to get some materials. So we're going to need our Bibles. We'll need our thankful journals, some markers or crayons. We'll need a ball or at least something that can roll. So it could also be maybe a toy car or a toy truck. And then each person in your family is going to need to grab their coat or a jacket, something like that. Now don't worry, we're not going anywhere, but we need it for our lesson. So I'm going to pause again. Here's a helpful list so you can find those items, and I'll meet you right back here. Got all your items? Good. Okay, our Bible story today comes from the book of Luke, chapter 19, and we'll be starting in verses 28 and going all the way to verse 40. I'll say that one more time. Our Bible story comes from the book of Luke, chapter 19, verses 28 to 40. Now, if you'd like, you can pause me right now and read the Bible story. Otherwise, we're going to keep on going and you can follow right along with me. Okay? So, in our story for today, Jesus was about to go into Jerusalem. And when the people heard about this, they got so excited because they had heard about all the different things that Jesus had been doing. He had been healing people, raising people from the dead, all sorts of miracles. Even last week, remember, we had said that he had fed tons of people with just a tiny little bit of a lunch, and he walked on water, and he calmed the seas. So many things they had heard about this Jesus, and they're excited to meet him. They had a lot of expectations about what he was about to do next. So when they heard that he was coming, they went and they grabbed their coats and they laid them all down on the road. Kind of like when you watch TV and you might see a famous person walking on a red carpet because everyone thinks they're so special and so grand. Well, they would take their coats or their outer garments and they would lay them on the ground. They'd even go and get palm branches from off the trees and they lay it down on the ground anytime an important person like a king or someone like that would come by. So what I want you to do is take a moment, pause me again, and take your coats and lay them down in front of you. Now, if you're at a table like I am, you can lay them just across like this coat. Or if you're in the living room or someplace like that, you can take the coats and line them up and make a path as if someone was going to come and walk across them. Okay? Get your coats ready. Okay, do you have your path made with all of your coats? Good. All right, so in our story, the people, they were so excited. They started cheering for Jesus, like, yay, Jesus, I'm so excited to see you. And they were throwing down their coats and they were putting down the palm branches, and they saw Jesus coming from off in a distance. Can you cheer with me? Yay! I'm so excited! Cheer with me, yay! They were so excited, and they're watching, and they see him coming, and well, Jesus didn't come walking into town. He came riding into town on a donkey. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of a famous person, a king or a queen or a hero coming to save the day, I don't expect them to come in riding on a simple gray, probably stubborn, hee-haw kind of donkey. I expect them to come riding in a big, white, beautiful horse or maybe a fancy sports car or something like that, not a donkey. But Jesus didn't do what they expected. Because remember, Jesus' power is unexpected. I don't know about you, but I tend to not keep donkeys inside. So I don't have a donkey in this class right now, and I'm guessing if you're in your living room or your kitchen, that even if you own a donkey, it's probably not inside with you right now. So that's where our ball or our truck or car will come in to be helpful to us today. We're going to pretend that this is Jesus riding on the donkey, coming into town. And so I need a sender. I need someone who's going to help send Jesus down the path. Do I have a sender? Okay, are you my sender? Get to the very beginning of your path with your ball, with Jesus on his donkey. Remember, we're just pretending today. And stand right there and just wait for a moment. Now, everybody else in the family, get on either side of that coat path and be ready to cheer for when, yay, Jesus goes rolling down the coats. as Jesus goes and passes by. Cheer for him. You can say things like, "Yay, Jesus," or "Glory to God in the highest," or "Hosanna," which means save us now. Now that's just too fun. So I'm going to give a chance for everyone. So I'm going to ask you to pause again. And first, sender, you send Jesus rolling down the coats and everyone cheer. And then give someone else a turn in your family to be the sender. And then everyone else gets to cheer along. Okay? All right. Pause the video and act this out. Ooh. Wasn't that fun, getting to send Jesus down the path and cheering for him and praising him? I just love praising Jesus. You know, a lot of people gathered that day and they were cheering him on because they were so excited and they had many expectations for what they thought Jesus was going to do next. But not everybody was as excited as the people that we were just talking about. In fact, there were people called Pharisees, the religious leaders of the day, that were very grumbly. They were and they had lots of things to say under their breath, and they were not happy. Can you help me grumble? They were not happy at all. In fact, they didn't want things to change. They didn't really know what to expect either, but they knew that whatever it was, they weren't gonna like it. And so they started talking amongst themselves, grumbling, grumble, and making decisions and plans as to how to get rid of Jesus. They didn't want anything to do with him at all. You know, Jesus could have come in that day and taken over and become the king of the land like the people who were cheering for him wanted. That's what they were hoping for, that he would come in and be king of everything. Except that wasn't Jesus' plan. Because remember, Jesus' power is unexpected. He didn't want to be the king of the land. He wanted to be the king of their heart. So that someday, anyone who would accept him would be able to be part of his heavenly kingdom, not an earthly kingdom. The people who were cheering Jesus on, they were tired of the way things were going around them. They didn't like the government of their time, and they were really upset about how they were treated by the religious leaders around them. They hoped that Jesus would come in and change everything. They hoped that he would come in and be their king. But Jesus didn't do things the way they expected. Let's think about that for a moment. Why do you think that sometimes Jesus does things in a way that is different from what we would hope for, or different from the ways that we would expect? You know, I think about myself in times that I've wanted things to go a certain way, and I've prayed and I've talked to Jesus about it, and things end up going a way different than what I had hoped for. And as I think about those times, I'm reminded that so many times that even though things don't turn out the way I wanted, they turn out better because God had a different plan for me. He wanted something not just different than what I'd wanted, but better than I'd even imagined. So talk about that in your family. Why do you think that Jesus sometimes does things different than what we would expect or hope for? Pause the video and discuss that. Jesus knew that the people in Jerusalem needed so much more than just a great king to rule over the land. He had something so much better in mind, which is why when all those other people that we talked about that were kind of grumbling and making plans to get rid of him, that's why he didn't stop them. He knew about their ideas and their plans, but he didn't stop them because he had a plan that was far better. A plan that not only would make things better and different for the people of Jerusalem, but that would make things better and different for us. A plan that would include all people of all time and would give them the opportunity to let Jesus be the king of their heart, like we mentioned earlier. But we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. Jesus' power is unexpected. And so often, when things don't go the way we want, it's because Jesus has a better plan. And he has something better in mind for us, even if in the moment we can't see it or it doesn't seem or feel like it's better. We have to trust him because his plans are good and he is faithful. Now let's switch gears. We've been talking about what we had hoped or expected Jesus to do during this coronavirus by now. But let's stop for a moment and think about what are the good things that Jesus is doing during this time. I'll ask that one more time. What are the good things that you're seeing Jesus do right now during this time? Pause me again and talk about it. Wow, Jesus is doing some amazing things right now. I'm so glad that you took the time to share about what you're seeing him do. Because sometimes it's hard to see God moving. Sometimes it's hard to understand the big picture of God's plan. But even when we don't understand, we have to trust that Jesus is powerful and he is moving. And many times, he's moving in very unexpected ways. Jesus has promised to always do what's best for us. And so in doing that, we have to remember that sometimes Jesus' power is unexpected. You know, praising Jesus is a great way to remind ourselves of all the good things that are going on around us and all the different ways that God is working in and through our lives. And so let's get up off the couch and let's sing a praise song together. It's a song that reminds us that we can praise Jesus in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So get on up and let's pause this video, click on the link provided, and worship through this song together. Wow, that was a fun song, wasn't it? I really hope that one gets stuck in your head for this week. It's a great one to remember that we can praise him all the time. Now, since you're already up, some of you sat down already. Get back up off the couch and we're going to play a game. All right, now I know some of you heard that word game. Grown-ups, you gotta play too, because the more the merrier. It'll be so much fun. All right, so what we need for this game is that we need some space around us because we don't want anyone to get hurt. So make sure you're not standing too close to someone in your family and make sure the floor is clear. So if you have some books or backpacks or toys on the floor, make sure that you've cleared them out of the way so that no one trips, okay? All right, now in this game, I'm going to give you a series of instructions, different things I'm going to tell you to do, and you're going to try to keep up with them just as quick as I'm saying them, okay? We'll see how this goes, all right? Ready, set, go. Do 3 jumping jacks. Touch something red that's in the room. Give everyone high fives. Touch your toes. Touch the sky. Touch your toes again. Spin in a circle. Reach for the sky. Sit down. Stand up. Hop on one foot 5 times. Give everyone high fives. Touch your toes again. Reach for the sky again. Sit down. Stand up. Hop on one foot again. Whew. How did you do? Were you able to keep up? Everybody sit down and let's talk about this question. How did you feel as you tried to keep up with all the changes in the game? I'll ask that one more time. How did you feel as you tried to keep up with all of the changes in the game? Go ahead and talk about it. That game may have seemed a little tricky, probably because you never knew what I was going to say next. It was always unexpected. We don't always know what's coming next in life either. But even though we don't know what's coming next, Jesus does. And we can trust him that no matter what's going on around us, that he has a plan, he is in control, and that even when his power is unexpected, He's doing things and working things out for our good. Jesus doesn't always do things the way we think he should. And in our story today, you saw the people expected him to become king on earth. And instead, do you know what happened? He died. They did not expect that. But then he rose again, back to life. That was so unexpected. But see, Jesus had a greater plan than what anyone could have imagined. A plan to include all of us. And so we can trust Jesus even when his power is unexpected. Now let's take a moment and think about all of the people around us right now who are helping. Who are the helpers that you see right now? Some of the helpers you might think of are doctors and nurses who are helping people who are sick or who are taking care of newborn babies or the elderly. Some of the helpers are people who are working in grocery stores, making sure that the shelves are stocked with food and that everything is clean, and that are helping us to get groceries, or even delivering groceries to people who can't go out to get the groceries themselves. Some of the helpers are around us are running our own families. They're helping us with school every day, doing it a different way than what maybe we're used to. Maybe you've been a helper. We're going to take a moment right now as a family, and we're going to discuss who are the helpers that we're seeing, and then we're going to take the time to pray for the helpers. Pray for them that God will continue to encourage them and give them strength to do the job that he's called them to, and that he'll give them peace during this time. And also, while you're praying, don't forget to thank Jesus for Jesus, because he is our greatest helper in times of uncertainty. So take a moment and pray together as a family for all the helpers in your life right now. Thank you so much for taking the time to pray again together as a family. I think it's so awesome that you are doing this. If this is not something that you normally do in your family, taking time to pray together, I would encourage you to let this start a new pattern in your family. It's awesome to be able to pray together. It builds the family, it brings peace and unity, and I really believe that it just glorifies the Lord and just excites him for what's happening in our families. So I encourage you, keep this up. Now, as we come to a close, I want you to grab your thankful journal, all right? And this week, today actually, I would like you to draw a picture of something unexpected that Jesus has done during this time. Think about that. What is something unexpected you've seen Jesus do over the last couple of weeks that you could draw or write in your journal? Put that in your journal. Also, remember those helpers we were talking about? Why don't you also maybe draw a picture of some of those helpers so you can remember to pray for them this week, because all of our helpers need our prayers right now. And then also remember, you can write down your God sightings. Anything you see God doing in your life, in or around you throughout the week, write that down, draw a picture so that you can remember all of the great things that God is doing right now. Put a date on it so that in the future you can look back and remember this time, not as a scary time, but as a time where God was working and doing amazing things in your life. I hope you have a great week. I'm so excited to see you next week. And next week is Easter, so we'll have some fun things. All right, see you later. Bye.